Hello, it's that time of the year that we start our 2026 Quilt Along. So if you're new here, I'm Kathy from the Delafield Quilt Company, and I really love quilting, and I typically show the projects that I'm working on this channel and how I made them. But for this series, it's actually something that I've done for the last few years, where I've done a summer sew along that basically we take piece by piece, block by block, and I show you how to make an entire quilt. Now this year I did make it a little bit different. It's a little bit shorter than in the past, and I did that because, well, there's really only 3 different types of blocks for this quilt design, and I wanted something to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our country in the United States. So I figured might as well do a little red, white, and blue. So to participate in this sew along, it's absolutely free for the summer of 2026. I provide the information you need for the patterns. This is a foundation paper piecing pattern, but I provide the templates for you to download. I also provide information about how many pieces, what size you need to cut them, fabric requirements, all that good stuff, available on our website. And to reach this year's sew along, you're going to go to the DelafieldQuiltCo.com website. Click on Quilt Alongs and then 2026 Quilt Along. Now on this landing page, that's where I'm going to put the foundation paper piecing patterns that you would need to download and then print at home. But I'm also have an instruction sheet on the fabric requirements, the cut sizes, a coloring sheet in case you want to come up with your own coloring scheme. And I even put a few examples of different color combinations. Now, although I'm doing a red, white, and blue theme, you can do this quilt in whatever color combinations you want to. And here are a few that I kind of came up with that I thought were a little bit interesting. Now this quilt also can be done without the borders. I wanted the borders on there because I was kind of going for that kind of Americana theme. Kind of reminded me a little bit when you see those swags with the red, white, and blue hanging on houses. Or fences, so I kind of wanted a little bit of that look, you know, they're pointed, just to make it a little more 4th of July, but you certainly could go without those and just do the blocks. You could also do more blocks too, so if you wanted a bigger quilt, you can certainly do that, or do less blocks. It should be a little versatile in size. Alright, so make sure you check out the website. I'm going to start today with block 1, and I'm going to show you step by step how to do this. Alright, so all of my fabric for this quilt are coming from Art Gallery Fabrics. And this first one here is from Floral Elements. You can see there's a light print on here that's just some beautiful big florals. And this is in Scarlet. And then we've got Sparkle Elements, and this is the one that's kind of the Americana with the red, blue, and white. And then we have the Deco Stitch Elements in this beautiful indigo sky. Now you'll want to make sure that you visit our website and download all of the instructions. And I also included a guide that you can cut out to make these little paper tiles that you can label all of the pieces that you're going to cut with. So I'm just going to start with my white fabric. I'm not going to cut everything, but I will include all of the number of pieces that you're going to need in the instructions. So you want to make sure to check those out. But I'm just going to kind of give you an overview of how I cut these pieces just to make it go a little faster. And you certainly can cut them whatever way you'd like. The first thing I'm going to do is make sure that I've accounted for the selvage here and just kind of fold it over my fabric up to that selvage mark. And then I like to cut the width, the longest width of the piece. So for this first one, W1, it needs to be 4 inches by 1 3/4 inches. So I'm going to cut 4 inches, and you do have a little bit of leeway in these pieces. All the piece sizes I did go slightly bigger. The foundation paper piecing, I like to have a little more cushion in my pieces. So you don't need to be exact when you're cutting these. So I'm going to go first the 4 inches. And then I'm just going to cut myself a clean edge first. You can see that's that fold of fabric right there. I want to make sure I cut that selvage off so it doesn't show up in my pieces. And I'm going to cut these down into 1 3/4 inch widths. And then, so I don't forget what I cut, I'm just going to put that little label right on there. And all the foundation paper pieces are marked with those numbers, so hopefully it makes it a little easy when you're going to put these together. And this is pretty much how I'm going to cut all the pieces necessary for this pattern. So we're starting with block 1, and there's basically, you need 4 of these each for 1 block, and we're going to have a total of 5 block 1s. So you want to just make sure that you've printed all of those out. So basically you need 20 copies. And I am using foundation paper. If you don't have foundation paper, just use a really light printer paper and that should work just fine. Okay, now each of these pieces is going to have labeled for it the order that you sew them on, so A1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but also what piece you should use of your fabric that you cut earlier. So here we have used W1, and that corresponds with my W1 piece. And you're going to see that on all the pieces here. Now I do like to trim these down just so there's maybe like a 1/8 inch or so around the furthest line. That way I'm just making it a little easier for myself when I go to sew it. And I'm just gonna probably cut all of my pieces at once for all the blocks. That way I can just sit down at my sewing machine and just zip right through them. Now if you're new to foundation paper piecing, it's pretty simple. Basically you start with the first one. You want to always place your fabric on the back side of your pattern. Now for this first piece I need to use B6, so I've got one cut here. And then your first piece is always fabric right side up. And then you're going to lay your second piece, which in this case is A2, and it's going to be the R1. And you're going to lay that right side down. But to help know where to put that piece on here, because you can't see those lines, I'm just going to flip it back over. And I'm going to fold right between, with the fabric still in there, right between A2 and A1. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. But I just fold it right here with that fabric. And that way it shows me the line that I need to place A2 to. And I want to make sure it's about 1/4 inch above that fold line. I don't know if you can see that too well, but I usually start at the fold line and then I scooch it over about 1/4 inch. And then I usually just hold it in place with my fingers. You could put a pin in here and maybe start with a few pins if you're new to this. And then you probably get pretty good at it and you won't need to do that anymore. But yeah, feel free to use pins. And then basically what I'm going to do is flip it over and I'm going to sew right on this line between A1 and A2. All right, I'm going to set up my sewing space so that I've got it pretty efficient for me. I like to have all of my cut pieces to one side, have my patterns ready to go. And then on the other side, I'm going to have my iron and my little iron pad. I'm also going to have a scissors and a seam ripper. I'm also going to have a garbage can or a box that's near the floor just so I can take all those little pieces that I'm going to trim and just throw them away right away. I also want to make sure that I have shortened my stitch length. I like to use a 1.8 when I'm doing foundation paper piecing. I do that because it helps put more holes in the paper so that when you go to tear it away, it comes away a lot easier than if you used a larger stitch length. So then at my sewing machine, I'm just making sure I'm holding down these pieces tightly. I'm going to flip it over, still holding on those pieces. And now I am just going to make sure that my sewing foot and my needle are positioned so that they can sew right on that line. And then I just slow down when I get towards the intersection and just usually do like one stitch at a time so I can get right on the line or as close as I can on the line. And then I'm going to cut my string. I'm just going to test it before I trim anything just to make sure I'm going to cover all of the pieces. Looks good. And then to trim it, I'm just going to fold back the paper, being careful not to rip it, but feel free to fold it. And then I usually like to trim it down a little bit less than 1/4 inch. And I'm just using my scissors to trim it. Then fold it back. And now I'm ready to press this open. You do want to press in between putting on each piece. And to press it, I just put it down first on the piece, just to lock in those stitches. And I peel back that top piece, finger press it first, and then go back with my iron. And now we're ready to sew on the second piece. There's going to be A3 on here. And that one I need R2. Okay, and just like before, I'm going to fold on that line between my previous sections and the current one. That way I know right where I need to lay that piece of fabric. Put a nice crease in there, and I've got that line. And now I know that I can lay this piece, and I need to lay it right side down by that line, and then I'm going to scooch it up so I'm about 1/4 inch over the line. And then just like before, I'm going to hold the pieces in place and sew right down this next line. And here it gets a little tricky because you've got these intersections. Just make sure that you're doing one stitch at a time so you can stop as close as you can on that line. If you end up going over, just take your seam ripper and pull out a stitch or two until you're right on that line. I'm going to just make sure that's going to cover all the sides. I'm kind of using the light too so I can see through, and just make sure when I flip it over, it's going to cover that nicely. It is, so then I can go ahead, fold this back, and trim it like I did before. This is why you want to have that garbage can right by you, because there's lots of little pieces. Fold it back, and then I'm going to press it like I did before. All right, so hopefully that's making sense. I'm just going to keep going down this. It's kind of like a little braid, which is kind of cool. And I'm just going to keep adding the pieces. And then I will show you what it's like when I'm all done. All right, I've got all of my pieces sewn, and some I've got trimmed already, but I wanted to show you how I trim these. And you do need your quilter's ruler, and essentially you want to make sure you're following the outer line and you're trimming on that outer line. I do like to use the 1/4 inch on my ruler versus just trimming and trusting this outer line. That way I've got a nice consistent 1/4 inch around the pattern. And I am going to use my 1/4 inch marks here, which is those dash lines. I don't know if you can see that. I'll zoom in here. And I'm going to put those right on top of that inner line. So this line right here. And that way I'll have a 1/4 inch once I cut along here. And then I just trim along the ruler, and I've got my 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm just going to continue that around the whole piece here. Now this is when you want to just take your time with it and make sure it's lined up, because this is where it could go wrong if you don't cut it exactly on that 1/4 inch. And then I just need to finish this part of the block by sewing on these triangle stripe pieces as well. Now when I sew these on, I want to make sure I'm using the guides of the template to line them up with the edges. You've got that kind of, not quite a 45-degree angle, or maybe it is, that lines up on the side here. and also on this side here. So you just want to get those lined up as close as you can. And then I'm just going to sew right on the solid line here to join those two pieces. All right, so I've got one of the corners sewn on. I'm just going to sew another one. And then I need a total of 4 of these to make one of the blocks. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep sewing these together. And I've got my first block all sewn together here. You can see, hopefully you can see how that paper piecing really makes these lines consistent and clean. I did try to do this as just a regular piecing without foundation paper. It's doable, but it was just so challenging to get everything perfect that I just thought people would get frustrated, which is why I came up with the foundation paper piece pattern for this. And then on the back, you can see all the pieces. I would recommend that you keep all of the paper on until the entire quilt top is done, because you're going to continue to have to line up all of these lines with each of the blocks. All right, that is block 1. I will see you next week for block 2. Have a great day.